ברוכים הבאים לפודקאסט של שפות-שלי, בית ספר לאנגלית ושפות נוספות. אני אריאל, I'm your host for today. אני איתכם היום לפרק הזה. אנחנו היום נדבר על כל המעשי הגבורה של השבוע האחרון. ננסה להסתכל על הפן החיובי של המלחמה כרגע, ולהסתכל על כל המעשי הגבורה שעברנו, ועוד יש לנו דרך ארוכה לעבור כמדינה וכעם. כמובן אחד השבועות הקשים שזכו לי בחיי, וכמובן לכל המדינה כולה, מצב שהוא פשוט horrific, an absolute tragedy and a horror. But today I'm going to share with you a few stories, כמובן באנגלית, כמה סיפורים באנגלית, על מעשי גבורה של העם הישראלי, ואיך אנחנו בעצם הצלחנו, אפילו במצבים הכי נוראים שיש, להראות מעשי גבורה, וכמובן האופטימיות תהיה איתנו תמיד לנצח. So let's get started for today. So obviously we know everything that happened last Saturday, with Israelis caught in the murderous rampage by Hamas terrorists, and the Israelis managed to demonstrate heroism, determination and fortitude. אני היום בעיקר ידבר באנגלית, כמובן יהיה הרבה עוד מילים חדשים בסיפור הזה גם. אתם כאן כדי ללמוד אנגלית, להקשיב לאנגלית, אז אנחנו כמובן נשתף את הסיפורים האלה באנגלית. אז בואו נתחיל. As the Hamas terrorists made this savage way through Israel's south, slaughtering more than 1,300 people and displaying the worst humanity has to offer, Israeli men and women carried out countless acts of courage. For some, it was their final act. למרבה הצער, זה היה בעצם המעשה האחרון שלהם בחיים. קיבוץ Berry's 22-year-old paramedic insisted on staying and helping the wounded, then hid for 6 hours in the clinic's kitchenette, grasping a knife, waiting for help that never came. As terrors closed in, she texted her last words to her sister, "I love you." There was the young couple from Kibbutz Kfar Aza, who hid their 10-month-old twins in the safe room before engaging in a hopeless fight with the well-armed terrorists, or the old-timers, former IDF officers, now grandfathers and great-grandfathers, who sped to the south to engage the enemy, killing dozens, and also managing to save the family members and also countless citizens during the immense battle. There are doubtless many more acts of bravery that so far went unseen and unheralded, but I'm sure that in the future, as the stories come out, as the war progresses and it comes to its conclusion, we'll hear the many, many stories of the powerful and amazing men and women who make up this beautiful country of Israel and give the backbone to the Jewish people and who we are as an identity and as a people. So here are a few. I'm going to share with you a few stories that actually made it to the headlines. שהגיעו לכותרות. And let's start off today with the heroine of ניר עם, הגיבורה של ניר עם. שמה ענבל ליברמן. She's 25 years old. She saved the entire kibbutz from the gruesome fate of many other kibbutzim in the region, serving as a military security coordinator of kibbutz Nir Am since December 2022. Lieberman heard explosions on Saturday morning, the day of Hamas's ambushed attack. Inbal realized that the explosions were different from the rocket attacks that she knew and was accustomed to. With little time to spare, Kibbutz Nir Am is located just a stone's throw away from the Gaza Strip, or just over half a mile. She rushed to the kibbutz armory. She distributed weapons to a 12-man security team made up of other kibbutz members, arranged them along the kibbutz fence, and set ambushes for the terrorists. When the bloodthirsty killers arrived, expecting another easy slaughter, they got the surprise of their lives. Instead, they faced the very strong resistance of the security team that managed to gun down 20 terrorists. Inbal herself killed 5 of them as the Hamas murderers encountered a wall of fire and blaze. Salpaz, one of the security team members, said Inbal had only been told by the Israeli Defense Forces to be on standby. She took the initiative in what he described as unsurpassed decision-making, sending her team to different sectors to protect the kibbutz and laying out a plan of defense. A post on social media captured her act of heroism perfectly. This is the post. It read, "The woman in the photo is named Inbal Liban. When it's all over, this woman will receive the Israeli prize. The story of her heroism is a story that will enter Israeli myth for generations. Inbal is the reason that there is one kibbutz in the entire surrounding area that remains unharmed, Niram. Inbal Lieberman is a daughter of the kibbutz who was the first in the entire state of Israel to understand what was happening. She ran like mad from house to house, organized the emergency squad, and prepared to work plan to protect the kibbutz and place many ambushes on the kibbutz's fence. All the terrorists who came to the kibbutz were killed at the fence. 25 terrorists in total. She is definitely, without a doubt, one of the great heroes of Israel and the Israeli nation, and she'll go down in history, and her story of myths." Next up is the couple who saved each other, Erez and Ifat Yatzkan. Erez and Ifat Yatzkan took turns saving each other, along with their daughter. It was an otherwise sleepy Yom Shabbat morning, Saturday morning at Kibbutz Kfar Aza, when they heard the sound of explosions. They assumed it was another round of rocket fire from the Gaza Strip, but they immediately went to the safe room, a reinforced space against missile attack. This time, they also heard gunshots. As the gunfire grew closer, and Ifat and Erez understood the terrorists had entered their home, the terrorists quickly located the safe room and tried to pry it open. The door didn't have a lock, and Erez held it closed as the terrorists tried to pull it open on the other side. It was a crazy struggle. They pull, and he pulls back. There were several people, and he was one. Until now, I can't understand how he was able to overcome them, Infant told Channel 12. When the Hamas terrorists failed to overcome Erez in the tug-of-war, they attempted to shoot out the door handle. When that failed too, they placed an explosive charge on the door. There was a crazy boom. Wheel flew back hard from the force of the explosion. Erez took it the hardest. Both of his hands literally exploded from the struggle and the explosion, said Ifat. The explosion blew a small hole in the door, but otherwise appeared to work in Erez and Ifat's favor. It sealed the door closed. The terrorists shook the handle but couldn't open it. They gave up in frustration and left the house. But Erez was in bad shape. His hands were bleeding profusely, and he was in extreme pain. He told them to bind his hands with a tourniquet. The daughter took an old phone cord and tied a tourniquet around both her father's hands. Ifat and her daughter began reaching out via cell phone to update everyone in the kibbutz. They didn't understand yet the seriousness of the situation. Ifat said, "First I called my friend at Hadassah Hospital, who put me in touch with a trauma doctor and explained to us how to treat Erez, to bring him a lot of sugar and water and lift his legs because he'd lost a lot of blood." She then added, "I tried to call the nurse of the kibbutz. Maybe she would help. In retrospect, I realized that she and her husband had been murdered." Erez, finding it hard to breathe, begged them to open the window to the safe room. Ifat risked it. The daughter heard IDF officers and shouted to them for help. One of the soldiers himself wounded threw 2 tourniquets to them. At this point, Ifat made a very brave decision. She realized her husband needed help. She jumped out the window. What she saw was like a movie. Explosions, shouts and screams in Arabic, her house riddled with bullets. She said, "I heard shots in the air. I crouched down and ran to the warehouse to get a ladder to help me climb back into the safe room. Then I ran back to the house and bought everything that was missing. I made this passage 3 more times. The IDF fought the terrorists, but as the hours passed, Erez's condition worsened. Erez told me he wouldn't last. We told him he had to. After 7 hours in the safe room, IDF forces arrived and helped them out the window. Even as they left the kibbutz, they weren't out of danger. The army vehicle they were in encountered a squad of terrorists who opened fire. The driver managed to get away. Erez and Ifat were evacuated to Tel Ashemer Hospital by helicopter. On Monday, Erez underwent initial surgery on his hands, and it will be the first of many. Obviously, we wish Erez a refuah shlema and an amazing story of heroism. Next story is about a police officer that saved his daughter. Israeli Police Deputy Superintendent Shimon Portal, intelligence officer of the Southern District and former police commander of Ashdod, received a phone call from his daughter Neta on Saturday morning. Neta, who lives in Kibbutz Kfar Aza, said terrorists had entered the kibbutz and her life was in danger. I hadn't been called up yet, so called myself up, Portal told Israeli media afterwards. He asked Neta if she was in the safe room, and she told him that she was, and the door was locked. He then got a message from her saying terrorists were shooting. Portal, armed only with a handgun, wrote a one-word reply, coming. He jumped in his car and sped toward the kibbutz, about an hour away. Portal ignored terrorists spread out along the highway 232 as they fired on his car. I'm driving like mad toward the kibbutz. They shoot at me, shoot at my car, and I keep going, he told Channel 13. Stopping at a gas station, he met a police officer he had sent south, Boris Berdin. Berdin had killed the terrorist, but the terrorists had wounded him. Portal pulled Berdin back to safety and then continued his journey to rescue his daughter. By the time Portal reached his daughter's home, terrorists had entered it and was struggling to break in the safe room where she and her boyfriend Santiago were hiding. Portal approached the house shouting, Neta, 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 but then saw 3 terrified children hiding from a group of terrorists. He decided he had to rescue them first, taking them to his car and driving them to a safer location. Then 2 more people, a couple, exited the burnt house. He took them to safety as well before returning to rescue his daughter. פשוט זה מדהים, זה פשוט מדהים to go through these stories, לחלוק את זה איתכם, לעבור זה שוב, זה ממש מביא מאוד לעיניים, האנשים האלה פשוט גיבורים. Meanwhile, his daughter was taking fire. I catch a bullet in my right foot. Santiago also catches a bullet on his left foot. Through the safe room, Neta recalled. I open the window of the safe room. I see a group. I think it's what my father saw of 10 or 15 terrorists standing and leaning on a vehicle, smoking cigarettes and cracking up with laughter. This battle against the terrorists lasted almost 3 hours before Portal managed to reach Neta. He carried his bleeding daughter on his shoulders away from the scene and to safety. Portal said he still can't sleep. His thoughts are with the little children he rescued from the immediate danger. He said, I don't know who those children are. I have to know to see that they're okay. And I have no idea. That's what he said. Neta said about her father. This is what she said about her father then. I have a hero father. I have a hero partner. Neither of them stopped fighting for me. They were ready to sacrifice their lives for me. All right, so these are some of the stories that reached the headlines and that I wanted to share with you guys today. Obviously, as the war continues, and there will be many, many more stories that come out and many more, news events that happen. I will be sharing a couple of those with you. I thought it would just be appropriate today to speak about something about our situation as a Jewish people and about this war and how we are currently affected as a country and as a people in general. אז היה לי כבוד גדול לעשות את הפרק הזה היום. אני מקווה שיהיה לכם שבוע רגוע ורק בשורות טובות ושקט בזמנים הקרובים. וכמובן, מאחל רק שכל חיילי צה"ל יחזרו בשלום. כמובן, כמו רוב הצוות שלנו כרגע במילואים. And we are looking forward to having all our guys, all our men and women back safely, and that we will win this war as fast as possible. My name is Ariel. Thank you for joining me on this podcast today, and looking forward to doing more episodes with you. בזמנים טובים יותר. אנחנו ננצח. Have a great week. Thank you, and bye-bye.